I'm becoming an art collector and I have no idea what I'm doing. Hey feral friends, welcome back to a new video. And welcome if you're new. I'm Heather, I'm an artist, and I have recently decided I also want to get into art collecting. So if you're like me, you probably, when you hear the phrase art collecting, you probably think of like really rich people and like the Medicis and like all of these patrons and people who have so much money they don't know what they're doing. Well, I think that way too. But you know what? That is not all of art. And as I've been diving more and more into being an artist and meeting more art friends and seeing more pieces and just learning a bit more, I've also realized that it's really important to support smaller artists and that there is actually a huge range of art pieces out there in price and skill and style. Like there's the whole ACEO trend right now, and honestly, that's excellent. That is a great entry point because most of these pieces are like $1 to $15. They come in a whole range of mediums, so you can get digital art, watercolor, oil, gouache, acrylic, illustration style, and it's just really cool. It's very affordable. They're all tiny little pieces. So like, here's one of mine. It's just trading card size. So they're really fun. And it can be about any topic, any subject, whatever. And then you can get into like 4x6s and bigger pieces and yada, yada, yada. We're probably never going to be 6+ figure art collectors. Me and my family. That's not our goal. But you know, I would love to be able to afford a couple $1,000 pieces a year. I would love to be able to afford a $30,000 piece a year. Like stretch goal. So, what are we starting to do to actually get to that point? Well, first things first, I'm learning art history. I'm learning the context of all of this. So I'm going through Impressionism right now, and that is super, super fun. I love it. Impressionism is probably one of my favorite art styles. Really enjoying that exploration and the history and all of that. So that's one thing I'm doing. I'm gonna try to figure out what I want to do, what I want to study after I finish with the Impressionists. Well, finish. I'm just doing introductory stuff right now. So I'll figure that out. If you have any suggestions, leave a comment because I'm so open to input and all that, especially if you have good resources. I've just been watching YouTubes and Googling for the most part. Okay. What am I doing next? I am scoping out artists I like. I'm trying to figure out styles I like and really like get into why. Why am I drawn to that? Why do I like this style? Why do I like this this landscape in this style versus that landscape in the same style? And just like asking all the questions that come up when you're looking. Versus just like I like it or I don't. I'm trying to take it to that next level and train my brain to think that way. It takes work, it takes practice, it's all habit building. So this is another thing that it takes time. Finally, we are getting our financial house in order. This is also something that's just going to take time. It's, what do you do? We are working on setting up a budget and putting money aside specifically for art collecting and art buying. Again, that's just something that's going to take time. Unfortunately, I'm impatient. I know many people are impatient. So we really just want to make sure that we're doing this in a sustainable way, in a realistic way, so we're not caught off guard by major expenses and all of that. We'll never be able to afford a $30,000 piece of art if we never budget for it, right? So those are kind of the three things that I'm doing right now as someone who's new to art collecting, who doesn't know anything about it. who's a newbie artist myself, but I really want to start supporting other artists in their art and their creative process and all that. And I think this is a great way to start. I've already purchased a few ACEOs from different artists, and honestly, if you do not have a lot of money, that's probably one of the best places to start. There are some really cute frames you can use to display them, and I can go into that in another video if that's what if people are interested. But I think if we don't start doing more to support artists and creatives and makers within our own communities, we're going to be losing them. I don't think people will ever stop creating, but it's just not going to be the same. We're not going to get the same level of innovation. We're not going to get the same level of creativity. And it's just going to disappear as the rich get richer and the poor lose out. So that's the thought. That's the video. If you have any recommendations for what to do kind of after that, I think this is kind of like a good 6 month to a year plan for us. So probably next winter, spring, we'll revisit what we're doing and see where we're at and continue on. I would like to find more museums and gallery events and such in my area. I live in semi-rural in a smaller city, so there are still artists around, but it's not as much as like New York. It's not the same. I'm not in a major cultural hub, so that makes it a little bit different for me. But I know a lot of people are in that same situation. I know of some resources. I've been using YouTube. I listened to A Little History of Art. I forget who it's by, but it was an audiobook on Spotify, and I would look up some of the pieces as needed, and that's how I would do an art history book on audio. I know there's the Gardener's History of Art. I'm saving up for that because that's more of a textbook. There's so many good resources on YouTube. Art Rookie is excellent. I know she's taking a bit of a well-earned break right now, but she still has her whole website with articles and stuff like that. If you have any suggestions or resources or anything else, I would love to know them. Please leave a comment because I would love to compilate everything so then other people can join in on this journey if they so choose. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I'll catch you next time. Bye.